Hey everyone, it's Tracy Martirana here from Holistic Wellness with Tracy. Welcome back to video 6 of my Sensible and Sustainable Weight Loss series. I decided to create this series to help you lose weight in a healthy way, build a lifestyle that will allow you to keep that weight off, and will also allow you to enjoy your life through the process of losing weight and keeping it off in the future. If this is the first video that you're popping into in this series, please go back to the beginning, watch them all. And also, I do have a disclaimer. Please go visit my website to see the blog, to read that disclaimer. I will link the blog post down in the description box below. In the previous 5 videos, we have talked about where to start with weight loss. So we talk about identifying our current lifestyle. We talk about realizing what number of calories we should be ingesting every day in order to maintain our weight. We talk about getting into a calorie deficit, tips and tricks on how to eat healthy and filling foods to stay in that calorie deficit. But today I want to talk to you about taking diet breaks. Our bodies are not meant to be in a calorie deficit long term. Yes, we need to be in a calorie deficit to lose weight, to lose fat, but our body, it's smart. It learns how to adjust. It recognizes the fact that we aren't getting enough food. So it slows down our metabolism. It finds ways to conserve energy until we find that we're not losing the weight that we once were. This is when we begin looking at our weight data, right? We're taking our weight every day, and all of a sudden we notice that we were dropping weight pretty consistently, and then all of a sudden that line starts to flatten out because the body has adjusted and we begin to plateau. Now, while every body is different, most bodies actually begin to make that metabolic adjustment just a few weeks into a calorie deficit. So by the time that we're actually just starting to see results, the body's beginning to adjust and make some changes. However, we can typically go 3 to 4 months and still lose weight. We don't really want to go any further than that. We don't really want to get into that plateau if we can stop it. Therefore, the easiest way to prevent the plateau is by taking a diet break at least every 3 months. Taking a diet break not only helps reverse that metabolic adaptation, but it also helps us learn how we're going to live in the future, how to eat at maintenance level. It allows us to practice. So when might we want to take a diet break? Number one, if you've been dieting for 3 months, so 12 weeks of a calorie deficit, that we need to take a break. It doesn't have to be long, a minimum of maybe 3 or 4 days. It can be longer if we want, but at a minimum, a nice long weekend, eating back at maintenance instead of in our deficit, we need to do that. If you have a special event coming up, like a wedding, especially if you're in the wedding or part of the wedding party where you know it's going to be a multi-day celebration, timing a diet break with that event is a very good idea. Also, holidays. Most holidays, it can be very difficult to stay in a calorie deficit. We don't need to go wild and crazy, but we need realistic expectations. So timing our diet breaks with big events or holidays can be very helpful. Now, if the holiday is just maybe the 4th of July, then a quick weekend break is probably all you need. If we're talking Christmas, then it might be a month that you want to take off. Get through all of December without really worrying about that calorie deficit. Again, we're still watching what we're eating. We're still being healthy. We're still eating at maintenance level. That's what I mean by a diet break. It's not going crazy. Eating at our maintenance level for the month of December, not a bad idea. That's why a lot of time, diet programs and whatnot, I think Weight Watchers will often do programs or campaigns for maintain, don't gain through the holidays. Again, going to maintenance level just to get through the holidays, and then you can get back into your deficit in the new year. For some of us, we notice bigger hunger for 2 or 3 days every month as part of our cycle. If that is you, if there are a few days every month where you really struggle to maintain a calorie deficit, then just plan it in. You can do a diet break once a month if that's what it takes. If that's what your body needs, then that's what you do. Nobody says you have to wait 3 months. You can do diet breaks as often as you need. A vacation is another time that a diet break is usually warranted. Again, you don't want to undo all of your good work that you've done while you go on vacation, but you want to be able to enjoy yourself without stressing out over every single calorie that you take in. And then the last one I want to mention is if during your calorie deficit at any point food noise starts to get really loud, where you just feel like you are struggling to stay in that calorie deficit. Maybe even the food noise gets so loud that you binge for an evening, where all of a sudden you just went girls gone wild on that cake or the big bowl of pasta or whatever it might be that you needed in order to be satisfied. If you're getting that kind of food noise, it is making you go a little off the rails, definitely time for a diet break. Reel it in, get a little bit more realistic with your calories by eating at maintenance level for a while. And then when you go back into the deficit, if you go back into the deficit, go lighter, right? Maybe only 100, 200 calories of a deficit so that you don't feel like you're starving yourself, so that you're not focused solely on calories all the time. If you're always focused on food, if food noise is that loud, then it's time to take a look at things. So a reminder, a diet break, again, is not going wild and crazy. It is not forgetting all of our healthy eating and just binging on whatever we want to binge on. It is simply about taking a break from the calorie deficit and eating at maintenance level for 3 days, 4 days, a week, 2 weeks, a month, whatever feels right to you. Take a break, come back into the calorie deficit at a later time. Now, if this is the first time you've tried to come out of your calorie deficit, there can be some questions like, what do I eat, right? Where do I get those extra calories? Now, you can simply focus maybe on protein, getting a little bit more protein, because we try to look at protein levels when we're eating, right? We want to keep our protein levels high because it makes us feel full, but protein foods can also be pretty high in calories. So therefore, sometimes it's hard to eat high protein when you're also trying to stay in a calorie deficit. So if protein is something you are very much concerned about, then maybe when you go into your diet break, you focus on more protein. I personally encourage us all to eat the foods we love while we're in a calorie deficit, right? We are not cutting out anything completely. We are not vilifying any sort of foods. We're making sure that we are eating in a way that makes us happy, right? We're eating foods we love. But if some of your favorite foods are high calorie foods, so maybe you haven't been able to eat them quite as much as you would love to, right? You are including them. Maybe you want to include them a little bit more. So maybe it's having your favorite dinner maybe a little bit more often. Maybe it's about that next time you do have a cookie that you allow yourself to have 2 cookies, right? Just while you're in that diet break. Get your calories from something that you love. Or lastly, another great thing is it's a perfect time maybe to go out to a restaurant. If you have been trying to be good and eat at home more because we have more control over our calories when we're eating foods that we prepare, then while you're on the diet break, it might be a great time to just like, all right, I'm going to plan a couple meals out. And then that was my diet break, and then get back in. Again, personalize it to you what you want, but make sure those extra calories are making you very, very happy. Don't talk yourself out of a diet break. If you've been going along in your calorie deficit and you are seeing weight to continue to come off and you are reaching the end of month 3 and you have not plateaued, you are still losing weight, it is very tempting to say, I'm just going to keep going. And I struggled with this myself. What I have found and what I believe is that it is actually better to take a diet break before you plateau. doing it before your body really has reached like the end where it has adjusted completely to those lower calories. If you can do it a little bit before then, your body, I feel like, reacts a little quicker to sort of unadjust and come back to like oh, this is the maintenance calories. We're getting plenty now. We're okay. And your body will start burning calories as expected. So even if you are enjoying weight loss, you don't feel like the food noise is getting loud, at the end of that third month, please do just take a short break. Again, 3 or 4 days, enjoy a few extra calories. You don't go crazy, and then go back into your calorie deficit when you're done. Another thing to consider is, what is your maintenance calories, right? So before you went into your deficit, you calculated your total daily energy expenditure, which is the number of calories that you need to maintain your weight. So that it is your maintenance calories. But if you've been losing weight for 3 months, then you weigh a different amount now. So your TDEE is technically probably different. If you've lost a decent amount of weight, you want to take your break, yeah, sure, go ahead, recalculate your maintenance calories. Go back to whatever calculator you used, type in all of the information, including your new body weight, and see what it comes up with, and then eat at that level. And then when you're done with the diet break, take off your 200 or 300 calories to bring yourself into a deficit, and that's your new calorie deficit. On the other hand, if you're going into a diet break after just a month or so because you have a special event, I wouldn't recalculate. If you've decided that yes, every 12th, 13th, and 14th day of your cycle, you're going to take a diet break because you just tend to get really hungry on those days, I wouldn't recalculate. You don't want to recalculate more often than you really have to. So I wouldn't recommend recalculating any more often than once every 3 months. And even then, I guess if you are currently losing weight at your calorie deficit, you could go back to your old maintenance calories and see what happens, but they might actually be a little bit high. You could end up putting on a pound, maybe, depending on how long you are on that diet break. So you got to kind of play with it. It's individual, but if it's going to be every 3 months, go ahead and recalculate. If you're going shorter than that, don't worry about recalculating until, it's been 3 months or so. It's not rocket science. It's not the end of the world either way. That's just my guideline. And one more time, I can't stress it enough. Take your diet breaks, but do not go crazy during them. Remember, they are just training for the future. We're practicing eating at maintenance calories for however long feels comfortable. And then when we're ready, we take a reasonable number of calories off, like 200, 300 calories off of that maintenance to go back into a calorie deficit. And we do that for maybe another 3 months, however long it takes you to get to your goal weight. There is no need to rush it. Slow and steady is much better than a quick, big loss if you're just going to rebound and regain all of that weight. Remember, we're going for slow, steady, healthy, sustainable, and sensible weight loss. Thank you so much for joining me. Be sure you are subscribed so you don't miss video number 7.